Um, Actually, hold on. Let me edit this. I guess this is like part 8 at this point, right? Um, I'll change it on the other platforms, but um, so yeah, I said I was gonna take a break. My break ended up being a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I was like, you know what? We're just going to enjoy relaxing for a second and not feel bad about it. Because I knew I was going to get back on here and do the work, and so here I am. And plus it's Saturday, but like no days off until we get to where we're trying to go. Um, and and the thing is, like I mentioned this before, like I had been, taking a musical strike for a bit of time. But I know there's certain sacrifices that you have to make to get ahead. And I sacrifice, taking the time to put this together. And it's not like I'm not willing to do the work. Like I feel like anybody that's ever worked with me knows that I work hard, you know, whether their experience was good or not. Like, yeah, sure, I might show up late, but when I'm there, like, I'm asking, does anybody need help with anything? What needs to get done? If there's not work to do, then I figure out something to get done, you know, um, like even if I'm working at, like when I was working at Whole Foods, I was doing the shopping stuff, but when there wasn't any orders, I'm like, all right, let me stack up the bags, let me break down the boxes, let me package, get the stickers ready. You know what I'm saying? Because I know not only is me constantly working at something, but it's not only benefiting me, but it's benefiting the whole crew, whether they see it like that or not. I know that that's like how my work ethic is. So I kind of like missed working on music, but at the same time, it's like, um, I have my reasons for not doing that. And so, when people try to like, throw their little, well, when you're on the bed, on your phone, this and that, and I'm like, and I don't, it doesn't bother me because I know who I am, and I know my work ethic, but I have my reasons as to why I wasn't doing creative work like I wanted to. But mind you, I've been writing this whole time. As y'all can see on the live streams, like I literally just be talking to y'all, and then lyrics will come to me, and I'm like, all right, shoot, let me write this down. And so I have been writing for a while, but I haven't been able to like compose music the way I've wanted to. But I mean, there's always something to do, right? And I've had this idea to do flash drives for a long time. And here we are, because I'm like, look, you know, I just kind of made a decision that look, this music thing has to work. Even though like I don't know, I've been like flirting with the music industry for a long time, just like kind of half doing it, or you know what it is. Hold on, let me just turn this down a little bit. Give me a second. Um, so I think for me, like, I know I'm kind of getting into a tangent, and then I'm gonna get into the flash drives. But for me, actually, this glare. I'll take this off. I don't know. I guess I was like kind of like flirting with the music industry, and it's not like it's something that I didn't want to do full time. Like the goal was to do it full time. It's just like it's expensive to be an artist, like to get equipment, especially the type of artist that I am, where like visual art matters to me and fashion. So it's like, getting the costumes, giving you a look, not, trying not to repeat the same look, but also rework the same pieces that you have when you have a limited budget. Um, and and still believing in yourself throughout that whole process. And it might have been easier had I went full time, before the controversies of my life or whatever. But honestly, I wouldn't have been ready then. I wouldn't have been tough enough to deal with the bullshit that comes with it. And honestly, like the people that I was around, like shit was cool then. And I needed things to fall apart for me to learn the truth of the people that was around me. You know what I mean? And it's like, and granted, like I've said before, like, being accountable, I know there were certain things that I've done that caused the shift of those relationships, but I know at the same time, I know I've done things to go out of my way to repair them. and people were already too far on the other side of, we're going to play in her face, and expose her and all this other stuff. And so, and that's fine, like, I mean, it's frustrating when I think about it, but at the same time I'm grateful that it happened, because I know, all right, these aren't my people, and that's fine. And sometimes you need things to break down like a tower card to realize the truth of a situation. And it really showed me my like strength and resilience, which I never thought I would have needed in this way. um, and so unfortunately, you know adversity was the catalyst of me learning how strong I am. um, and I feel like, okay, given certain things that I've had to deal with, like being exposed and like having my reputation be ruined, and people acting like they don't know about me and stuff like that, and people giving me a hard time. you know I'm like, and it's like, most people would be like, yo, just hang it up, like you're not about to make it, like people in the industry, nobody wants to work with you, type of thing. And my thing is like, okay, that may be true, but I'm like, I don't want to work with nobody that don't want to work with me, especially regardless of my past. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to date nobody that doesn't want to be genuine with me. I don't want to work with anybody who can, you know, who would judge me based on the mistakes that I've made and not recognize the best in me, and not recognize the work that I put in to evolve as a person and evolve as an artist. You know what I mean? So I'm like, in a way, even though it makes things a little bit harder for me and it's challenging, and sometimes like the other day, calling different like studios trying to find a place to return to rehearse. And I know like some of those people recognized me, and doing the whole, oh, how can I say it? Because you got to read off of you know the Greek mythology script, and oh, she used to be a host script or whatever type of shit. And I'm like, all right, look, if that's how you play, I don't want to work with you anyway. That's fine, because I know I deserve better than that. So thank you for showing me your true colors already. you know and it makes it a little bit challenging, but like the fact that you're willing to do that to a person lets me know that this isn't the place for me, this isn't the space for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want to be around people who acknowledge that people make mistakes, and are um what's the word, not forgiving, but like are understanding to the fact that, like, okay, yeah, you did this, but I see the work that you're doing to show that you've learned from that mistake and that you're trying to do better. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like those are the type of people I want to be around. And it's like, slowly but surely, I feel like more people are coming around to that and recognizing, like, okay, like, this girl don't be trying to bother nobody. She trying to mind her business. Like, all y'all keep trying to do is invade her privacy, hack her devices, and leak her stuff. But it's like, and y'all doing this over, a breakup 3 years ago or whatever the issue is. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's fine. It's fine. But it doesn't shake me, and it doesn't stop me. And I like I said, like, some people would be like, okay, why don't you just give up? And I'm like, nah. Yeah, no. I don't know. Maybe it might be smarter for me to give up. I know it's a tactic in the 48 laws of power, surrender, and let your enemy win, because then they'll get irritated, and they want to feel like they defeat you. I get it. Like, I've read the book, I've seen the examples. And you know what? And I understand there's this whole thing about like this reading books, and this whole book list or whatever. But even after reading the book, like, I just refuse to play those games. And like, I'm going to double down on just being true to me. And and if I like have suffer consequences for that, then I'll take that. Like, I'll take the consequences being true to myself, than like altering the truth of my soul to play power games, and manipulation games just to appear strategic and clever. Like, I don't care for that. Like I said, like, my purpose is more important than that. My purpose is like using my talents and my gifts to inspire people, and like being, a blessing to somebody, whoever needs what I have to offer. Like, okay, yeah, sure, the strategy, chess moves, like, I see all that shit. I see it. And I see it in the industry when people are in position of power, and when they, leave little breadcrumbs before the main event that they're prepping a year in advance. Like I see all of that. I can calculate that, but and I'm like, all right, I'll take bits and pieces of it and, use it in my own way. But, unfortunately, I have certain situations that I need to dead off first before I can fully be able to make certain moves. And it's like, yeah, okay, people can stay a step ahead of you if they're, hacking on your devices and see what you're working on and all that stuff. Like whatever. Okay, I guess it's so clever, but which is more so innovation or privacy. But, I bless those people just because I know, like, the fact that this has been going on for years over shit that's happened years ago. And it's like, that's people's only purpose. Like you literally have to create a brand and a name for yourself just as being someone that's bullying someone. Like your whole brand and, rise to fame and popularity as a group of people is literally just, exposing someone that you considered a friend that you didn't have a conversation with, and, making bullying and manipulation and war tactics popular, you know. But that's, y'all can have that though. You know what I mean? And that's fine. It's just not what I want to do. Like I get it, like, oh, you should read these books and this and that. And I'm like, fuck those books. No disrespect to the authors, but I'm saying, like, okay, even if I did read those books and caught up on whatever, and I started implementing those tactics, people will still go out of their way to try to sabotage what I'm doing. People will still go out of their way to disrespect me. People will still go out of their way to copy what I'm doing. Like, okay, yeah, sure, read the book on Greek mythology. I get the reference. And like I said before, it's not even a clever story, you know? Like, there's so many other things that could have happened to prevent that. But it's like, okay, the only clever coincidence is like the name and the fact that I sing and, get into a little celebrity tea or whatever the case may be. But it's like, okay, but it's not a clever storyline though, you know? And again, like, so what? Like, but whatever. I don't want to get on here ranting. I just want to say, like, really my point is saying, like, I don't want to play into people's games. Like, and if that makes my journey a little bit harder, then so be it. And it is a challenge sometimes, when you have to worry about, like, whether you go into a space and they receive you well, or if people are going to give you a hard time, if people are going to give you the runaround, or if they're even going to treat you with respect, and, or, whatever. And, it could be easy to just give up at that point. But I'm just like, I know there are people in spaces for me, and I'll sift through all the no's until I find the right space, and yeah, sure, it might be a little bit challenging that way, but it is what it is. Like, I'm built to deal with it. I'm tough enough to handle it. And, like, again, like, if me being true to myself and a truth teller, um, is the biggest consequence, then so be it. Like, I'll still say the truth that people are too afraid to say. I'll still stand up for myself and stand up against anybody just off of the strength of my love for my, my loved ones. And, then for the passion of the gift that God gave me, like, I'm just not folding for that. And I know that at some point, people are gonna realize, like, like, okay, we are doing the most. And there's people who realize that now. There's people who comment and just like, okay, like, like, it's just a bit ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. Like, the hate and the cancellation or whatever, it's a bit childish and ridiculous. And I will keep speaking to that. And I know there's other people in respected, educated spaces that look at this situation, know that that's the case, but, and I'll just keep standing my ground until people wake up and realize, like, okay, you know what? Let's put bullying to the rest and actually, make love mainstream. Let's make respect mainstream. Let's make, redemption mainstream, because everybody's a sinner in their own way. Everybody's fucked up in their own way. Everybody's made mistakes. And if we knew everything that everybody else done, anybody can be canceled for anything. You know what I mean? It's just like the marketing behind it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that's got enemies and has burnt bridges. And even the most perfect person, has slipped up at some point. You know what I mean? It's just like, how brainwashed do you want to allow yourself to be? you know. But while y'all do that, I'm still going to be speaking love. I'm still going to be praying for people. And I'm still going to speak to, the little black girl that I wish I had, little black girls like me that are creative and never felt safe to express themselves, never felt safe to, sing out loud and dress the way she wanted or had the outlet to just be herself and feel like, she's enough and that she's worth it and that, she can stand up for herself. I know there's other girls who felt the way that I felt when I was a kid. And, they might not have people around them to protect them or stand up for them or say the things that they wish they can be said. And, I truly believe that that's why I'm here. And, whether people agree with that or not really isn't my concern. But I only want to speak to the people that agree with me. You know what I'm saying? I only want to speak to people who get it. I only want to work with people who see the best in me and, believe in me and are genuine and, are above, speaking in double entendres and can be direct with me. Like, I'm at a point where like I'm not lowering my standards to play these games with people. Like once I peep the vibes that it is, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not trying to convince nobody nothing. I'm just gonna live my truth. I'm gonna, keep putting this content out here. I'm gonna keep speaking the truth that nobody else is talking about, and put messages out there that can hopefully inspire somebody to keep going and follow their dreams. And and the right people will align. The people that get it will be there. And this content will be there when you catch up. You know what I'm saying? These flash drives will be there when you catch up. The affirmations will be there when you catch up. And I know there's people already out there that get it. And like I said earlier today, like I know there's people that I've worked with, that I've been friends with, and we've never fallen out. There was never an issue. But we might have just drifted apart or like, weren't working in the same space before. And, there's mutual respect. There's people who, purchased my music. There's people who, put, wanted to collaborate with me, wanted to bring me a part of their platform in a genuine way. There's people who like genuinely saw my talent and my ear for music and, and who believe in me. And I'm grateful to those people, and although I haven't had a chance to like reach out to them and talk to them, like I'm grateful for those people. And just because of the circumstance, I just rather keep my distance just for their own safety, and just their privacy. But like I know there's people out there who know my heart, and despite the things that other people say about me, like they know when they worked with me, I was great. Like there's I often think about this one time where I was working at this job, and I was helping like five different people at the same time, which is not uncommon. But I was helping like five different people at the same time, and they were asking for multiple things. And my manager was like, yo, you like one of the smoothest people that I've seen on the floor. Like, like just your ability to be able to manage, working with mad different people, remembering all the things that they're asking for, and then like doing it with a positive energy, like you really breeze through this like one of the best that I've seen on the floor. And and that's always stuck with me because it came naturally to me. I didn't even It wasn't even something I was thinking about. And sometimes I might make mistakes or whatever the case may be, but I know like customer service was a strength of mine. Like I always knew how to talk to the people, connect with them, get an understanding of what they were shopping for, and then try to find the best things that they were looking for. and and just making sure that they had a great experience. Like, it was more than just like, okay, we want to get them to spend a bunch of money. Like, yes, but at the same time, like, I want to connect with the customer. I want to hear about them. I want to hear, what exactly are you shopping for beyond looking for like a new bracelet or a new pair of shoes. Like, what's the occasion? Who's gonna are you just shopping for yourself? What's the outfit? Let me see the picture of the outfit. Oh, okay, all right. Well, let's put this together. Or I think this will look better with this. But or you could wear the heels, but then see if your feet get a little tired. You could wear your flats too, or whatever. And just make it an experience and a conversation. That was something I was always good at. And despite the circumstances of today where people are kind of like brainwashed into like giving me a hard time and not having honest conversations with me, sometimes you can forget that and be like, like, it just feels like, connecting with people could be so difficult. But then I remember, like, when I was in sales, like, I was really good connecting with people, and I was great with, building rapport with customers. And, sometimes, like, I just have to remind myself that. And I'm just like, girl, you used to eat this shit up. And there's people who know that. Like I said before, like when I was at Pandora, there was 5 different managers that were like, yo, Narice, you do such a good job. Like, you're knowledgeable with the product. The team loves working with you. And, you should have been a manager. And it was 5 different managers that knew that worked with me day in, day out, that put in a good word for me to be for me to be promoted. So it's like, like when I remember those experiences, you know I'm like, yeah, nah, the whole these games and people giving me a hard time and all that stuff, I'm just like, yeah, you don't know me. There's people who actually know me. There's people who actually have been, worked with me. Even the people who've exposed me know this about me. They know that, like, I work hard, and that I've been great with customers, and I do a good job. And the one time that I was down and out and kind of like slipped up and was in a desperate space, where people decided, all right, we're going to gang together and expose somebody. Prior to that, there was many good years when I went above and beyond for people and showed up for people, and went to all their events, and or went distances to go visit people and support people. And and sometimes, like, when you go through experiences where like you make a mistake and then people only try to label you to be that, you really got to like remind yourself who the fuck you are. And I'm like, I'm very much still that girl that's willing to work hard and stay after work several hours to make sure a floor set gets done correctly and it actually looks good. And if there's a bubble in the cling, we're not stopping until we get that bubble out and it's perfect. Like, that's who I am. That's how I've always been. And I've been so willing to put that work ethic into other companies and into other people's dreams, that today I finally got to a point where I was like, Narice, what if you put that work ethic into your own thing full time? Like, just like how you would manage somebody else's company and train a team and all of this stuff. Like, imagine you doing that for yourself. Because it's like, if nobody's going to believe in you, you have to believe in you. And there's something that I always have, is belief in myself. And I know, you know, my work ethic. And not only that, like, I was definitely a team player. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were definitely times where, like, I wasn't like the strictest manager, but I will always be one to like celebrate somebody when they do a good job, and and help somebody whenever they're struggling, but and train people and try to train them in a way where it's palatable and they can understand it. Now, when certain people were coerced into giving me a hard time, like, it raised a challenge for me, because people were intentionally trying to disrespect me, or intentionally like trying to disobey me. But that was never an issue before. Like, I never had issues with people being disrespectful towards me, or like or challenging my leadership. That was never a problem for me until like certain people were like you know told to do so because of whatever in my previous mistakes in past life, or whatever the case may be. And so it's like, I know it doesn't I don't take it to heart, and I don't take it personal, because I know it's not authentic and it's not genuine, because if it was a genuine experience, people wouldn't treat me like that, even regardless of my dating history or whatever the case may be. But I understand, like I said, you know, spreading hate and being and bullying people has become mainstream now, and playing mind games with people, and you know and being mentally and emotionally and spiritually abusive has become mainstream. And I don't care, despite me being biased, just because I'm like on the receiving end of that. Regardless, like I will still be a champion to challenge that and lead by example and show people how to not do that and just be better. Just because of like that's I don't stand for that shit. So, and I stand against it, and I will continue standing against it until I see people changing for the better. And and like I say, like I've gotten to a point where like I try not to take it too personally, because I'm like, I know if people gave me a genuine chance and a genuine shot, you know I would show and improve, because that's what I do. Even when I was working jobs like Whole Foods, like like I made sure that I was getting there early, like an hour to a half hour early for the job. And time management was a struggle for me, you know and there were definitely times where I was running a little bit late, but I know, like, okay, this is an area that I need to improve on, so I was willing to do the work to do that. And even when I was there, like, I tried my best to get my stats up, because I cared about stuff like that. And and if I could help other people, then I could, despite the fact that people were trying to give me a hard time there, you know and trying to get me to look at my schedule on my phone, and I'm like, no. um, but despite that, I'm still going to show up and do my best here, you know and even when I was working at FIT was a little bit more challenging, because it was like I had to take the trains there, and just like every step to get to the job and back home was just like overwhelming, and I'm one person. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, it's like I don't care. I'm still gonna stand for love. I'm still gonna stand for redemption and honor, and knowing that like you can have a past, you can have mistakes, you can fall out with people, you can burn bridges and still turn your life around. And I truly believe that, and I'm not going to stop until I do that. So in a way, like, as unfortunate as it is, I'm grateful for the relationships that I fell out with, because that lets me know, like, okay, when I was having a tough time in my life, you showed me that you wasn't built to ride with me. And that's okay, because there was many good years when shit was fine, but it was this one bad season where, yeah, I was a little reckless or whatever the case may be. But everybody has moments like that. But when I was down, when shit is good, and everybody wants to be around you, everybody love hanging with you. But when you struggling and when you down, and and you not really your best self, that's really the test of like who's really real with you and who's really gonna rock with you. And granted, I know there was times where, I wasn't that for somebody else. Like, in my relationships, for a long time, I tried to hold it down as long as I could. And then it got to a point where I was like, look, I'm overwhelmed carrying this relationship, and I'm only like 19. I'm overwhelmed carrying this relationship, and I'm only, like 23. You know what I mean? And so I wasn't mature enough to be the ride or die that people wanted me to be. But I still cared for those people. And, but at the same time, there were other people in my life, like my friends, who I know had tough times and adversities that they were facing. And, and when they needed me, I was there, and, there was times they was into some fuck shit. And, I never held it against them. Like we laughed and drank and joked about it. But, they were still my friends, and I loved them. You know what I'm saying? And I would never do no shit to like team up with somebody and expose them, you know? And, and unfortunately in my situation, that just wasn't the case. But I'm grateful to know, like, all right, when I had a down period or a low season, I know like you can't hang, and that's fine. like I'd rather get those people out the way and, and let them live their lives, and, may they be blessed, and, may they have good people around them, and may they be around people where they can handle those people's negatives as well as their positives. Like, and maybe if those people aren't for me, that's okay. It's, more power to them. But like I don't want to settle for anybody that can't accept, my lows as well as my highs. You know what I'm saying? And it even I don't want to be around people who not gonna let me know when I'm leaning towards a low. You know what I'm saying? Like a real friend is gonna tell you, like, hey yo, you slipping. You falling off. Sis, I don't know. I know shit is a little hard, I know you're not making the money you used to make, but you not showing up how you can be showing up. And and my thing is like that's the standard of the type of people that I want around me. And that's the standard of the friend that I want to be. You know what I mean? Because I know there was a point in time where I might have been passive aggressive and I might not have felt comfortable confronting my friends like that. But then there's some times where I'm like, okay, girl, like you put yourself in that situation. Or there's times where I'm like, look, you know, you slipping, and I'm like, you getting on my nerves, but I'm still gonna show up for you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how I was. And hold on. Because I'm like, you're not about to interrupt this, right? Yeah. So, like I'm not settling for people that can't, accept my lows and appreciate my highs, you know? And also, like, just from my experience of the times where I wasn't strong enough to deal with certain people's lows, I'm like, okay, you know, I know I want to be the type of person that'll be there for somebody when they're going through a low point, and, encourage them to get, to their high point. Hence the affirmations to reach your higher self. um, that's on the flash drives, subtle plug. But no, I really believe in it though. So, it's not even like like, oh, I'm trying to like make money. Like I said, like I'm really proud of this. But that's not what we're getting into right now. But like um I want to be the type of person that I want around me. And that's why slowly but surely, even though I've been in a space of like, just like on my lone wolf, black sheep kind of vibe, like, I've grown to enjoy the journey because it's forced me to learn about myself. I've grown, I've evolved. Um, and Sorry, Angie's like coloring on my sweater. Yeah, no, I've like evolved and I've learned and I've grown in ways that I never thought I would have had to. And so now I'm at a point where it's like I'm not settling. Like I don't care how long I've known you. I don't care if we used to be in a relationship or not or whatever the situation may be. Like, there's certain requirements, and being a genuine, supportive, trustworthy person um, that operates by like a moral code of like integrity. That's the that's like the standard. You know what I mean? Because I know that's how I show up, and that's how I'm going to show up. You know, and I don't care how many people try to like suggest in their own insinuated ways for me to go back down certain paths with certain people. It's just not gonna work, unless they're willing to have honest and transparent and genuine conversations. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. And my standards are too sturdy for me to go down that path. Um, but I say this to say, like, if I gotta like do this journey on my own for a little bit, then I'll do that, you know. But I only want to work with people who believe in me. I only want to collaborate with people who believe in me. I only want to consider dating someone that believes in me and that's honest with me and that's transparent. And I'm not even interested in dating anytime soon because I need to get myself to a certain space first. And I've been saying that for a few years and I still stand on that. I have my goals that I need to get to first. and then I'll consider that. Unless like something happens and it's like organic, but again, it has to be organic. I'm not dealing with no fabricated shit in my life if I don't have to. That's within my control. And and I emphasize this just because I feel like it's important for girls to know this, especially like young girls who might start dating. Like, it's important to know your worth. It's important to have standards. It's important to have your non-negotiables of what you won't tolerate from somebody. And like, even if you're in a spirit in a space where you're like insecure about yourself and you don't feel like you quite figured out your swag or whatever the case may be, like, know that, don't rush into a relationship just to fill that void, just because somebody tells you that you're pretty or tells you that you're beautiful or tells you what you want to hear. Like something that Trent Sheldon said is like, there are certain people who will learn your insecurities and will try to get around you just to secure your insecurities. So be careful with that too. You know what I mean? Like, even with me talking about like my standards and whatnot, like, I know there's people that's going to like play along and try to, bait me with the things that they think I want to hear. But it's like my spirit is too sturdy to deal with that. And again, like, I say this because there's girls who need to know that. There's girls who need to have those standards for themselves, and and that respect for themselves, and also like believe in themselves. Like, like, yeah, sure, there might be points in time in your journey where you're alone and you might not have other people that get it, and you might not have other people that that believe in you, but you have to believe in you, and you have to keep fighting for your dreams and work hard at it and keep learning and growing and keep evolving, and and really trust that you're on a good path. And if the things that you do feel good to you despite what everybody else is telling you, stay true to that. Because just because a lot of people say one thing doesn't mean it's right. Just because a lot of people, like a group of people, behave a certain way doesn't mean it's okay. Hello, like, Hitler convinced like a large group of people that it's okay to have hatred towards Jewish folks. Does that hatred, you know, is it justified? Hell no. So like, just because a majority is doing something, that doesn't mean it's okay. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, sure, I could go along with the majority and play into these, art of war tactical games. Like, I'll read the books to be aware of it and see it when it happens, but it's like, I don't want to play like that because I don't. And it's like, yeah, sure, okay, but you got to be prepared for corporate or whatever. Like, I was in corporate, and like, there's no books to prepare you for people spiritually attacking you every day on the train, on the plane, on wherever. There's no book for that. You know what I mean? It's just, you learn the hard way how to figure out a way to protect yourself spiritually, energetically, from people who you don't even fucking know. Don't even know these people from a can of paint. And they really for damn sure don't even know you despite what they think they heard, you know? But standing tall in that and standing firm in that and still showing up to work and still trying to do my job and deal with all these people in my face, you know what I mean? And still try to show up and be positive in the midst of that. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, but sometimes that's what the journey entails. Angelina, Angie, girl, get down. Honey, get down. So, hello. Right. Yeah. So, and again, like, I don't want to. My thing is, okay, I told myself I wouldn't harp too much on the negative, but sometimes, like, okay, I'm not really harping on the negative. So I'm just making sure my child isn't messing and stuff. I'm not really harping on the negative. I'm just acknowledging the truth of my experience, and in a way where it can be palatable for someone to look at it and say, like, okay, if this is how she got through, then I know I can get through this. And not only that, but you know, It's the truth. The negative stuff, like I don't like to harp on it, but it's the truth of what I've dealt with for the past few years, in this house and just like in my life. Um, you know, and just with certain people in my family and even with certain friends. And it's, hard to speak to that, you know. At some point I'll be able to tell the full truth of that. But you know, that's just the situation. It's not like oh, Reese doesn't come around because she doesn't like us and something's going on with her mental health. But it's like sometimes there's people around you who, even when you start doing better, they aren't excited about that. Pay attention to shit like that. Like if you're going through a hard time and a tough time and you share good news with people, or you start improving and you realize certain people don't acknowledge that, pay attention to that. But the people who are genuinely excited for your growth and excited for your evolution, and they see you don't hang around the same places you used to, and you don't fall into the same traps you used to, or you don't fall into like the same habits that you used to, and you're doing better and you disciplined and you focused and you working hard, you know and people are like, yo, I see you, I see you working out here. I see you growing. I see you evolving. Look at you. Those are the people that you want to keep around you. The people who are genuinely excited to see you do better. And I realized that like there was a lot of people that did not want me to do better. You know, and it's just crazy because I'm like, like yeah, I did fuck up. But then, once I started, trying to like grow and, me being loyal to a fault, I kept giving people chances and going back to people because I genuinely cared. And, I'm loyal to people who I consider my best friends for like, over like almost a decade, you know. But, now I know, like, you can't fall for that no more. You really have to have non-negotiables and standards for yourself, and really surround yourself with the people who mean it. And don't get me wrong, some people will say those things. Some people will say like the right things to look like they're supportive, but like you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it in your spirit and really feel like, do you feel happy when you're around certain people, or do you feel like, oh, I don't know if I could tell them this, like you feel like you gotta be guarded, or you feel like you're safe to be vulnerable. There's a difference between that, and pay attention to that. Um, but yeah, like okay, the point that I wanted to say was like, I don't want to speak to like too much of the negative, but like sometimes you need to address the negative for to warn people of like what to steer clear of. But I did want to speak to like the people in my life that I know I've had really positive memories and experiences with, and we had fun times working together. We had fun times hanging out outside of work, doing photo shoots. We had fun times like doing creative stuff together. Just hanging out. We've had great memories working together. Great memories in school. You know what I'm saying? Like I know there's a lot of people in my life who I might not have had contact with in a long time, but I know we have great memories. And it's only been good experiences. And there was never a falling out. There was never a disrespectful thing. There was never a walkout thing, because the only times I walked out of jobs is because I was in a space where I was like fearing for my safety, and I felt you know underappreciated and disrespected. But most of my jobs, I left respectfully with a 2 weeks notice. And especially those jobs where I had great relationships with those people. Even at East Meets West, the time that I walked out was when shit hit the fan. But there's multiple times where I've worked there and left because like I had to work another job, but I maintained a relationship with those people. Everybody likes to talk about the negative with that job, but there was many times where I worked there and it was great, and then I was like, look, hey, I got this other job, so I'm gonna have to leave at some point. And then I would still stop by and say hi, and I would still stop by and shop and there's times where I spent a lot of money there, you know. But I know that's not the things that people want to, acknowledge or talk about. But like, there's more of those experiences than the negative. But that's not the exciting thing. That's not the blog headline worthy story. Like, Nerese has a graceful exit out of this job and maintained a good relationship with these people and continued to shop there, for years, and then go back to the job, and then, leave a few times, under, good rapport. They don't tell that story because don't nobody want to hear that story. That's the boring story, but it's the truth. And I still wish those people well. I wish them well. God bless them. God bless them all, because there was at one point where they felt like family to me. And that was the space that I was in, exploring my spiritual journey, on my own, when I had certain people around me that could have taught and guided me, but that wasn't the case, you know. But yeah, I mean, if nobody else is going to speak to that, I'm going to speak to it. And I say that for other people, like, um, yeah, like, there have been a few jobs where I left like abruptly, but again, I was in a space where I was fearing my safety, energetically. Um, and, or I was going through a traumatic thing, like even with AC Moore, like, you know, that was like the height of my anxiety and depression. And that was around the time where I had my suicide attempt. And, I hadn't had a chance to get in contact with the people at that job, but it didn't matter because AC Moore was closing down anyway, um, at that point. But, and the thing was, like, to them, it was just like I just abandoned the job. But it was like, no, I was having like a mental breakdown at that time. Um, you know, and, in my last few jobs, it's been like that. I mean, well, no, not my last few. Like, I feel like I left Whole Foods um, in, a good way, even though like that environment started to become like toxic in a way. Um, but I was like, I don't want to leave here on a bad note. I want to be respectful. I want to leave with another opportunity. I want to put my 2 weeks in, and yeah, and I know when I was there, like, I know I didn't do anything to like hurt anybody or disrespect anybody. I mean, I might have said something in the privacy of my own home complaining about an experience that I had there that other people just happened to hear and then started treating me differently. Um, but that's beside the point. But even then, God bless them too. I hope they're all well. And you know, I don't wish ill will on nobody. But yeah, it's just been an interesting experience. And my whole thing is just like, I want people to know that, like, regardless of what you go through, there's going to be people that try to count you out. And there's going to be people that will give you a hard time. And there's going to be people that try to hold you back and play you and constantly remind you find out about your past and constantly remind you about it. But you can't let that break you down. And you have to not only not let it break you down, but get to a space where you know who you are and you trust who you are. And when it comes to you and your mind and your world, you determine the narrative of your life. Period. You determine the narrative of your life. And like, live by example. And when everybody else is on, on the path of like, trying to make a joke about you or whatever the case may be, or a joke about, your life or your decisions and stuff like that, and or like everybody else is being disrespectful and hateful, you know, I challenge you to stand 10 toes down in love and move in love and lead in love. And just because certain people might be in positions of power and they might be popular, it doesn't mean that, you know, what a collective does is right. So just, align with what feels right to you and lead by example in that way. And don't be scared to speak up and tell the truth. I feel like so many people are just scared to say what's real. Everybody's like being brainwashed into like double entendre, right? Robots. And, and even people that like, hint at the situation going on. Nobody's talking about it directly, you know? So I'll do that, which is what I am doing. But, this video ended up being a lot longer than I wanted. I don't know why this changed colors like this. I don't know if it's some type of feature or the hackers, like to be on my device and move stuff around, whatever. Either way, but I said what I said, and and I know this message will get to whoever needs to hear it. Um, so this is gonna be its own live stream. I was supposed to work on these flash drives, but I got into a whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna change flash drives. So thanks for watching this far, whoever has watched the playback. I hope this message resonates with you. I hope that this helps you keep going and push forward despite whatever you might be going through, whether it's you dealing with being bullied or spiritually attacked, mental abuse, people gaslighting you, trying to make you out to be crazy for speaking the truth of your experience, being ridiculed, being exposed, people exposing you rather than come talking to you. People intentionally trying to sabotage you and give you a hard time. Like, if you're going through those things, like, know that you can push through it. If you made hella mistakes in your life, if you made the worst mistakes and, and regret them and, and you aim to do better, like, just know, like, you're okay. You're okay despite what anybody has to say. Nobody's perfect. Even the people judging you aren't fucking perfect at all. And if you're like just somebody with ambition and that's like doubtful, like, yo, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, I don't even know why I should even keep going, like, nah, don't give up. If you have it in your heart to do it and it's like your passion and it's what you want to do and you believe in it, like, don't let nobody, even if it's somebody you look up to, even if it's somebody in position of power, even if it's somebody that you respect, that try to tell you like, no, you're not good enough. Now it's different if they tell you like, okay, you need to work on it. It's different if they say like, all right, you all right, but you're not really going in like you can be going in. That's different. That's constructive criticism. But if you have somebody like, that might be more powerful than you, with more resources and more support than you, or that someone that you looked up to or whatever the case may be, try to like stop you, like, nah, don't let that shit stop you, bro. Keep fucking going. Like, if somebody in position of power even acknowledges you, and puts any type of effort to try to stop you, that says something about the power that you have in your spirit and in your gifts. You know what I mean? Because to me, I have zero views on this, right, on my platform, right? But I know there's a handful of people who know about me or know about this whole story or whatever the case may be, right? So to me, I'll just be on here saying what I say. Then, like Charleston White referenced in his video, he would just say whatever he wants on social media, and then realize that he ain't know how loud his voice was ringing through, and then until people started responding, and my thing is like, Why respond to me? The girl with 0 views. I'm saying the girl that's only got less than 100 views on her YouTube video. What's Why hold so much weight and value over the things that I have to say? Unless you think that there's value and weight to the things that I say. And if so, then maybe then that's a, what's the name? A part of my power that I just unlocked. And that's not something to abuse, but just something to realize within myself. And I only say that so because I know there's other people in the world, and you feel like, oh, I ain't got this. I don't got those resources. I don't have access to those spaces. I don't have those relationships. I don't have those connections. I don't have that money. You know, I only got this amount of money or this amount of followers or whatever the case may be. Who am I? I'm just a little person out here. But nah, you big pressure. You big pressure, especially if people trying to stop you. If people trying to stop you and give you a hard time and shit on you, then you big pressure, and they know it too. People don't spend time paying attention and trying to halt someone that isn't. Like, if you ain't got it, then it's like, why would anybody even entertain or give you time of day? Unless you got something with you. Unless there's a power to your spirit, unless there's a power within you. And you need to recognize that. And then not just the 48 laws of power, not just some corporate, tactical whatever power, but like just the power of the essence of you. Just existing. Like, and you don't gotta do anything major to be a power. You just have to exist and know it. And eventually all the extra stuff going to catch up. But once you know it within your spirit and your soul and just your mind and just know in your being, like, I'm pressure. And you gotta like live like that and walk like it and feel it. Despite what anybody trying to talk about. And there might be people more powerful than you. And there might be people who with more access and all of that stuff. But you keep going. Like, don't let nobody try to knock you off your square, no matter how big they square is. Fuck that. Like, you have to know that within you and get to a space where you're so centered in it and comfortable in it that nobody can tell you otherwise. And that's my TED Talk. Recognize the power in you. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to be back where I'm actually working on the flash drives, but this is a part of the work too. It's not just the music for me. It's really like saying the things that need to be said that everybody's too scared to say. In hopes that I can like inspire somebody and say what they need to hear in their spirit and empower somebody and really empower them. Not just say it, and not just, mention it, but like really be about it. Be about it. Cause I'm about it. Word to Master P. But nah, you big pressure. And don't let nobody make you think otherwise. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I'm gonna be back with the work for the rest of these flash drives. And then that's it for today. I already started a little bit later than I wanted to, but we gonna get it done. So I'll see y'all in a second.